The Apex core is a perfect blend of two existing releases, the Apex, which is an open hook stainless steel body, and the Sigma, which is a full radius tapered handle, aluminum body, closed hook release. The Apex core is not only fully adjustable, it comes with a 4-finger extension and an additional oversized thumb barrel. Your Apex core comes out of the package fully functional and ready to shoot. You may want to customize it to your hand. You might want a 4-finger extension installed. You might want the big thumb barrel installed. I'm going to walk you through all that plus the travel intention shortly. If at first you want to change it from a 3-finger to a 4-finger, here's all you need to do. On top, there's a little button head screw that takes a 50 thousandths Allen wrench. You're going to need to remove that screw. From the opposite side that you took the screw out, there's a tension pin right here. It's tapered. You're going to go on the opposite side, and you can use your 50 thou Allen wrench and push that pivot pin back out you. It comes out with just a little pressure, and you can see it's tapered on one end. That tapered end is what I'm going to install first when I put this back together. You have one set screw that actually holds the finger extension in place. You're going to want to remove that screw completely. Once you do, the 3-finger extension will slide out, and you'll notice right on top in the groove you have a little silver washer. You want to make sure to not lose that. Just set it to the side for right now. We're done with the 3-finger. We want to install the 4-finger. So set your washer right back in the groove. There's a slot right there on top that washer will ride on. And now install the 4-finger extension back in the body of the release. You can line up the silver washer through your hole, install the screw back through the washer, and just snug the screw up for now. As I said, the tension pin is tapered on one end. You want to make sure the tapered end goes through the body first. Line up the 4-finger extension. You can wiggle it just a little bit. Push the pin back in till it seats fully. Install the 256 button head screw back. Once you get the button head locked back down that holds the pivot pin in, you can see I have a wide range of adjustment here in the extension. So if you want more leverage, you can move it forward. If your hand feels more comfortable in a fist or a closed position, you can rotate it back. If you don't know where you want it yet, you can open it all the way this way, close it all this way, and then as you start to shoot the release, you can make the adjustments to make it fit most comfortable for you. Go ahead and lock down the adjustment screw so you can no longer pivot the finger extension, and it's ready to go. Whether you have your release set up as a 3-finger or 4-finger, if you just want to adjust the pitch of the finger extension, you'll only want to loosen the 5/64 Allen wrench toward the back of the release. All that does is lock the position of the finger extension. Again, for the 3-finger or 4-finger, you just loosen this screw, adjust the position to where you want it, and then snug that 5/64 Allen key back up. If you prefer the big thumb barrel over the small thumb barrel that's currently installed on your release, a couple of easy adjustments and we can swap that right out. In the end of the thumb barrel, there's a 5/64 set screw that you need to remove all the way because you're going to have to install it into the big thumb barrel. Loosen it all the way up, it'll drop right out, set it to the side. Now your thumb barrel will just unscrew off of the trigger post. So we'll unscrew the thin one. We're going to install, you'll see a threaded hole right here. We're going to install that back on the post. We're going to thread that down. Now, if I go too far, you can see it's tightened up. I need to back that up. I need to start the installation of my set screw, which that's what's going to lock the thumb barrel down onto the trigger post so it doesn't move while you're shooting it. But if you have an idea of what position you want this thumb barrel in while it's loose, you can adjust this. If you want it perpendicular to your thumb or to your hand, or if you want some tilt or some angle in it to fit your thumb a little better at full draw, now's the time to adjust that position before you lock this screw back down. And again, fully adjustable, you can adjust it at any time, but make sure you get that lock back down. Now your thumb barrel will not move. Another adjustment you're going to find on the Apex core is the length of the thumb barrel. If it sits too far out or you feel like your thumb is extended too far and you want to get a closer, more tight grip on the release, you can move this extension in 1 notch. You'll take a 3/32 Allen wrench and remove the 2 stainless steel screws. And you can see there's 1 extra hole in the thumb trigger assembly. You're just going to want to slide that down, put this screw in the top hole, your first screw will go in the middle hole, and it'll give you that tighter grip and that closer adjustment on the thumb barrel. So we're going to remove that, slide the thumb barrel down 1, reinstall both screws. Now you can see I've changed the depth of that thumb trigger. Instead of having my thumb way out, I'm now way closer to the body. Again, this time you can make some adjustments. If you want your thumb trigger pitched forward, if you want your thumb trigger pitched backwards, you actually just loosen this screw, loosen the top screw, and you can see I can pivot that thumb barrel quite a range right there. Again, fully adjustable, fully customizable at any time. You can find a good position that you think you're going to be comfortable with. Snug these back down, and it's ready to go, locked in place. If you want to switch your release from right-handed to left-handed, we go right back to the trigger post. You're going to remove the 2 3/32 stainless steel screws. They're coming in from my right side right now, so I'm going to take both of these out. I'm simply going to flip my thumb barrel 180 degrees. I'm going to take it from this side and I'm going to rotate it to that side. Flip my release over, reinstall the 2 3/32 screws. I can now adjust the pitch of my thumb trigger as well by sliding it forward or back. Lock them back down so it won't move, and I've now quickly turned that into a left-handed release. Now that we've talked about customizing release, let's talk about shooting the release. You first have to set the trigger in the back, then you'll want to close the hook. The release is now ready to fire. You have to push the thumb trigger to get it to fire. Cock the release, close the hook, release fires. You may want to adjust the travel and tension. Like we said, out of the box it's ready to go, but I know this release has a lot of travel in it. I personally don't like the travel. Your first screw in the open square right here, that's your travel adjustment. What is travel? That's the distance from point A to point B. That's how far it's traveling, is between those 2 points. The tension, which is this set screw right here, that screw's compressing on a spring, so when you run it clockwise, it puts a lot of tension on that release, makes me have to push harder to get it to fire. There's a fine line of what I personally like. There's going to be a fine line of what you like. I don't like any travel, but I may want to increase that tension, so I'll show you how to get there. You're going to need a 5/64 Allen wrench for the travel, and you're going to need a 3/32 Allen wrench for the tension. First thing you're going to want to do is set the trigger. Now you want to go to your travel adjustment, and you're going to run that screw in clockwise. As you run it clockwise, you're taking travel out of that release, and it's finally going to get to a point where it slips off the sear. So we're going to run it until you hear it click. Hear that click? Now I want to go at least a half a turn off of that. So I'm going to rotate this side all the way around to that side. Now I know my release is safe to shoot. I can cock it, and I've taken all of the travel out of that. I wouldn't recommend going any lighter than that. You can definitely put more travel back in it, but that's the minimal amount of travel you want in this release right now. Now that I've adjusted the travel, I want to adjust the tension. Like I said before, my 3/32 Allen wrench, if I want more tension, if I want to push harder or have to pull harder to make this release harder to fire, I need to run it clockwise. So I'm going to increase that tension quite a bit to make this release hard to fire. I have to pull pretty hard or put a lot of tension on that. That's probably too much for me. So I want to make it a little bit lighter. I'm going to go counterclockwise or back that screw out just a little bit. Like I said, the minimum travel is a half turn off bottom. The tension it's pretty much whatever you want it to be. But if you get it too light, you could run the risk of a misfire, and you don't want to do that. So for me, that's pretty good tension. I'm ready to hook this up to my bow and give it some test shots. That feels pretty good. Today I've gone through and shown you my preferences and how I would set this release up. The beauty of the Apex core is it's fully customizable to your preferences. 3-finger, 4-finger extension, small barrel, big thumb barrel, travel, tension, fully customizable. For the Apex core and any other Scott product, please visit one of our retail partners.